Hey, if you're pregnant over 40, I have just the community for you. It's a private community away from Facebook where women just like you come together to meet and support one another during pregnancy. To sign up for the waitlist, go to over40fabulousandpregnant.com/waitlist and be the first to know when the membership is open. I can't wait to see you inside. Welcome to Over 40, Fabulous and Pregnant. I am your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 38. If you're looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. And today I'm very excited to share Leanna's pregnancy story at 40. You know, in this episode, we actually go back all the way to really when she even started to have cycles and all the pain that she's in. And it turns out that she has 2 uteruses and 2 cervixes. And to be able to have 2 girls after that is just truly amazing. You know, I look at me and my circumstances and I want to feel sorry for myself and think that I have it so hard. And I see how much she's overcome in her journey. And it's a really beautiful story. Before we get started, I wanted to share that we made embryos last week. We bought 6 donor eggs, 5 thawed from that, so we lost 1, and 3 fertilized. Now, she said that she's not sure about those other 2 that she said didn't fertilize. They're actually going to leave them and see if they will reproduce and become a blast. And so I got this news on Friday. So this show comes out on Monday, and we will get the news how many embryos we have. I have been keeping myself busy all weekend. I have made preserves. I have made pesto. I have cleaned rabbit cages. I made tomato sauce from our harvested tomatoes. I made, oh my gosh, I've been trying to keep very busy. And I can't avoid my feelings. They're still going to be there. But I'm very excited. I can't wait to share hopefully more amazing news to come. And with that, let's get into the episode. Well, Anna, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, welcome. I can't wait to get into your story. But before we do, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Leanna Douglas. I created the brand Hope Still Stands because it's based on my journey from hatred to hope, dealing with infertility and low self-worth and mental health issues. I've overcome those things, and now I'm sharing my story to inspire and ignite hope in others.
And so let's go back because I know you have a long journey. If you want to kind of brief us on your first pregnancy and then how you got pregnant with your second.
Yes. So in my mid-20s, my husband and I wanted to start to have children. After the first year we became married. I always was a girl that dealt with, and woman dealing with bad periods, as they say. That's what the doctors used to tell me all the time. You're just a girl with bad periods. But I remember moments every time my cycle would come each month, I would have cramps on my left side for 3 to 4 days, and then cramps on my right side for 3 to 4 days. And each time I would talk to the doctor, you're just a girl with bad periods. I remember when I had my first pap smear at the age of 15, I was told by the doctor that my cervix was invisible. Not, no further testing was done. They didn't tell my mom to go to, see a specialist. They just said, we just can't see her cervix. So fast forward to marrying my husband, I prepared him and said, I have horrible cycles. I've had accidents on myself at school and then while I was working and just in so much pain. Sometimes, being so tired, crying, crawled up in a ball, and doctors still saying, you're a girl with bad periods. You have a cyst on your right ovary.
So they're heavy periods. Okay.
Heavy, like accidents, draining out like water. I would start my period and I have to pop 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen because I'm in so much pain. Sometimes my mom would heat wet towels in the microwave and lay it on my stomach. And I would finally have relief, all this blood just coming out and not understanding why. And then thinking that I was abnormal. I had this in the back of my mind. You're different. I don't see other girls going through this. I don't hear them talk about it in health class. So why am I going through this? So fast forward to marrying my husband. He understood that I, had horrible cycles, not thinking that this is going to impact my fertility journey and us having children. No one ever prepared me for that. I went to the hospital often, went to the emergency room often, and they just tell your sister's just getting bigger and bigger. I would go for MRI scans, CAT scans, and still not being directly told what is going on with my body. So at one point, they sent me to radiology to have a hysteroscopiogram, and that's when they inject dye into your uterus. Usually when you get your results, they'll call you or they'll send you something in the mail. No, the radiologist came out directly to me. And when I tell you the hysteroscopiogram was so painful, I was just like, why am I in so much pain? Each pap smear was so painful over the years. So he came right in. The radiologist said, Mr. and Mrs. Douglas, I just have to tell you something. You have half a uterus. And I remember being stunned. Half a uterus? Wait, no, they said it was a cyst on my right ovary. Who has a half a uterus? I've never heard of women having that. And by the grace of God, I was working at a facility called Prenatal Assessment Center at the same time I went to go have this procedure done. So I'm off from work. I was crying when he told me this. I'm in shock. Sure. And I said to myself, I said, no, this doesn't sit right with me. I was like, I can't just, take this information and settle with this. So he gave me my films. And I said to my husband, once we got to the car, I said, can we just drive to my job? I need to talk to the doctors that I work for because this doesn't sit right with me. And I remember walking into the clinic, and the maternal fetal medicine doctor was a colonel in the Army. I will never forget him. And he's seeing patients that are pregnant. They're doing he's doing ultrasounds on these patients. And I said, excuse me, sir, do you mind looking at my films? Like I said, I'm not one of his patients. I work for him. And he took the time, and I remember his glasses on the tip of his nose, and he put the films in the screen, and he said, Leanna, you don't have half a uterus, you have two.
Wow.
Now you remember I said for 3 to 4 days, I would have cramps on my left, 3 to 4 days, cramps on my right. And the doctors, it's just a cyst on your right ovary. Well, the cyst on my right ovary was my right uterus filling up with blood because my right cervix was closed. So when I would have those accidents, my uterus, I would look like I was 6 months pregnant at 15, 16, 17, 8 years old, 18 years old, 20, 22. And when my uterus couldn't take it anymore, it would just gush out of my, drain out. And I'm like, no one was listening to me all these years since the age of 10. No one was listening to me. And so the doctor said to me that I worked for, again, thank God for him for taking the time to look at my films. He didn't have to do that. And he said, you need to research a reproductive endocrinologist. What is that? I've never heard of that. And I got home, started researching in my area. Who is a great reproductive endocrinologist? Where can I go? Does my insurance cover this? And I found Dr. Altman at Johns Hopkins. I will proudly say her name. I find her. She does a thorough exam vaginally and anally. When I tell you I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, I'm crying, I'm squeezing my husband. I said, I can't do this appointment by myself. So my husband's in there. I'm pulling at his shirt. I'm pulling at his head. I'm screaming.
Yeah.
And she said, we need to schedule surgery. We do surgery, laparoscopic surgery. And I had a Didelphys uterus, and I still do have it, a Didelphys uterus, which is a double womb. and a double cervix.
Wow.
I am just overwhelmed. Like,
Yeah.
but I felt validation. Like, finally, this is what I've been saying for the last 12, 13, 14 years. And no one was listening to me.
Yeah.
On top of that, I had endometriosis. And on top of that, I was diagnosed with 3 fibroids also.
Whoa. Can we go back to the procedure? Why were they going in anally? Why?
Because I was telling her about this right side pain that I was having in my vaginal area, that it was excruciating. So going anally, she can touch my cervix, that right cervix. So my cervix is, I know it's weird to say it that way, but it's 2 of them. If you look at a clock, they're at 9 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
So that right cervix is at both of them are at 9 o'clock. But when she went anally, she was literally touching my cervix, and every time I'm screaming.
Yeah.
So this woman, this beautiful, brilliant woman, knew what my complaint was. So it like she's probably already dealt with patients that dealt with this, so she knew exactly what to do.
Yeah. And you're probably like, I will endure all this pain because you're figuring things out.
Exactly, because all these years I've been told you're just a girl with bad periods. That label, the girl with bad periods, instead of saying, let's really look into this. You're, a different type of patient. Let's figure out what's going on. No, the label was you're a girl with bad periods.
Yeah.
So I was willing to just let her do what she had to do so that we could really pinpoint what was going on with me.
Yeah. Oh, then what happened next? What are we going to do in surgery?
So the laparoscopic surgery is to try to figure out what type of uteruses I had, because now I know, I didn't know then, you can have a unicornuate uterus, you can have a bicornuate uterus, you can have a didelphys uterus, which I have. And then with a didelphys uterus, you can have 2 wombs, 2 uteruses, 2 cervixes, and you can have 2 vaginas. See, these are things that are not talked about in our community.
Yeah.
As women, as young girls, as little girls in school, they talked about stay away from drugs and stay no to sex. Okay, but what about fertility?
Yeah.
What about a woman being born with no womb? What about a young girl being born with 2 wombs, or whatever the case may be? They didn't talk about that. So I've learned so much, and I know I'm saying it now that I've learned so much, but back then I had no clue. Let me say, I was born with 1 kidney. So most women that have a didelphys uterus or a bicornuate, they may only have 1 kidney. But back then, as a baby, they said I had blood on my stomach, but they didn't know to look for my uteruses. They didn't know. When I was a baby, they saw the blood on my stomach and they told my parents I had 1 kidney and jaundice and liver infection, but never said, with the blood on the stomach, do some more testing. So I know now with a didelphys uterus, most likely you're going to have 1 kidney.
Fascinating. So what's the next steps? You had 2 uteruses and 2 cervixes. So you just had 2 of both.
Exactly. So when she did the surgery, she found endometriosis on both of my fallopian tubes. So 1 fallopian tube is attached to 1 womb, the other fallopian tube in the ovary, and the other fallopian tube in the ovary is attached to the other womb. So the endometriosis was wrapped around both fallopian tubes, entangled on both sides of my uteri. And then I had 3 fibroids sitting in between both uteruses. And they were very small, so she didn't remove the fibroids, but she did remove as much endometriosis as she could and cleared out my tubes and all those things, and opened my right cervix. So I had to have a surgery where she opened my right cervix, and I had a Foley tube hanging from my vagina basically for a few weeks. And then I had to go back to have that removed because my right cervix was closed.
So you also had only 1 vagina, but 2.
Yes. So
okay.
I only have 1 vagina, and there's so many women that are walking around and don't even know that they have it.
Yeah.
They just know that they're having horrible periods, can't get pregnant, whatever the case may be, and they don't know to go to get further testing, or maybe they're too afraid or they're suffering in silence.
So did your surgery help with your pain during your cycle?
So it did to a point. Of course, having my right cervix open, that made a big difference so that I had free flow. I wasn't swelling up like I was. Like I said, I was looking like I was 6 months pregnant for years. I would swell up and then it would go away. So that really helped. I still had pretty bad cramping, but not like it was. But I was still dealing with 2 periods every month. So that frustration of, it's still 2 cycles every single month. It's 2 separate systems.
Okay, so how long did it take you to get pregnant the first time?
So we tried, after doing all those surgeries, I still wasn't getting pregnant. Doing ovulation kits, making sure I'm ovulating, taking blood tests, going to MRIs, it was doing so much testing.
Theory, you're twice as fertile in theory as most women are.
You would think, right?
Right, yeah.
Right.
On paper.
Yeah. But I still wasn't getting pregnant. And so she said, let's try Clomid. So we tried Clomid, and I'm taking the pills and ovulation kits and going back and forth, getting blood work done. And I still wasn't getting pregnant. And time is passing,
Yes.
And so she was like, but you don't qualify. I don't qualify for IUI because I have 2 wounds. It just won't work for me. And so she had me go on birth control for a little bit and to see if my cycle will regulate, because sometimes my cycle will last too long. My cycles will last too long. So eventually she told me, my husband, you know what, I think we should move forward with doing IVF. And so we were like, okay. At that time, I was feeling like a robot, if that makes sense. Like I smiling like everything is okay, but inside I'm like, years have been passing. I've already been dealing with all this pain, already gone through 3 surgeries. So I'm like, we're still not getting pregnant. Yeah. So those dark clouds, I had things that happened in my past as a young girl, not loving myself, being bullied, being sexually abused, people telling me I was ugly, too dark. So I had those dark clouds that I try to put in the back of my mind. So now that when I can't get pregnant and I can't in my mind give my husband a child, I was starting to feel a little depressed. Yeah. And starting to feel like I'm not woman enough. And, those feelings were coming, but I'm still smiling like everything's fine. Yeah. I'm still going to work. I'm still going to church. I'm still hanging with family and friends. But I'm really saying to myself, like, Anna, you're not enough. Like, I was really feeling low. So we started the IVF treatment. My husband actually did the injections in my belly, and I remember going to a particular church conference, and we had our little backpack with our ice pack inside with all our shots, and we tipped out for him to do the shots in my belly, and I came back and sung in the choir. Like that was our life, Yeah. And we just were optimistic, like, okay, we're going to get pregnant through IVF. Like nothing else has worked. Naturally, IUI, putting pillows underneath our back, sitting my legs up, and we've done it all. So this is going to work. So we do IVF transfer. And I remember transfer day, I was just so excited. I'm like to tears. My husband and I are holding each other. We were so excited. And I remember them trying to do the transfer and trying to get the speculum on my cervix. And one of them. And they wanted to do the left cervix, the left uterus and the left cervix, because the right cervix was incompetent because I had that surgery. So if I would have got pregnant in my right uterus with the right cervix, I would have to have been on bed rest the whole pregnancy, do a cerclage, the whole 9. So they were trying to get it on the left cervix. Now, can you imagine a doctor and everyone that's assisting this procedure having to locate which is the right cervix? Yeah. So, because I'm not the typical 1 uterus, 1 cervix woman. So I remember his face looking, they have the ultrasound on my belly and him trying to get the spec and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. I just remember that feeling like, okay, he's going to get it. Like he's going to get it, but still feeling in the back of my mind, like he's not getting it. you know, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm dealing with the pain of it because it's still painful. And long story short, he does the transfer. And I remember walking out, you know, crampy and all that. Oh, actually, they laid, you know, rolled me out. But and they wheeled me out to outside to my husband, and we get in the car and everything. And I'm just so excited. Okay, we did it. Like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. It's been 6 years. We did it. It's done. 6.5 years. And so
How old were you at this point?
wow, I had to be, got married at 22. We started a year after. So I had to be 29, 30,
Okay.
maybe around, 29, because we got married at 22. Yeah. So I had to be like 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the nurse saying to us, we're going to call you. So make sure you come home. We both were at work on this day and this time. We're going to call you with the results. We rushed home. We got off early from work. We were like, oh, we're ready. This is the day.
Mm-hmm.
Get home. We're huddled on the couch. Have the they call, and it's on speakerphone on our little house phone that we had. And I remember her saying, "Mr. and Mrs. Douglas, I just want to let you know it's negative." The scream. It was like, you know how I've cried so many tears. Like, I've cried so many tears over the years of all the things I've been through. That wailing cry that came out of me, I didn't even realize it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so like, how? This is our moment. Everyone else is getting pregnant around us, family members, friends. I'm working at prenatal assessment center. Like, what else? Like, I've seen people get pregnant and say, "Oh, I have 2 girls. Oh, I'm having another girl. I have 3 boys." We just want one. I just want to I want to have my husband be a father, to be a daddy. Like that, I felt like that was our moment. My husband grabbed the phone. So I'm gonna tell this part first. My husband grabs the phone, he finishes talking, and I'm just crying. I cannot understand. I'm like, Lord, how? God, we're good people. How? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like having a discussion with the Lord while screaming. Like, I'm thinking, like, how? We are good people. We just want one baby. We don't care if it's girl or boy. We just want one child. And so time went on. I remember telling my husband over and over again, marry someone else. Why are you wasting your time with me? Like, you could have, by now, 6, 7 years, you could have had 2 or 3 children. You could have had a whole other like a family. Why are you wasting your time? And I remember one day he's working night shift and I'm home by myself with our dog, Maybelline. And he's working night shift, and the devil was like really playing with my mind, like, okay, why are you even here? I remember saying to myself, like, my life is not worthy, or like, why am I living? They said back in the day I was ugly. They said I'm too dark. You've been through all these, problems with infertility and bad periods. You can't give your husband a child. You're not woman enough. And I remember walking into the kitchen and looking at the butcher board with all the knives. And I remember pulling up each knife. Okay, this one's not sharp enough. Okay, wait, this one's too short. And I remember getting to the serrated knife, ready to cut my throat. And God said to me, Leanna, your life has a purpose. Hope still stands. Who, me? My life has a purpose? No, I'm the one that doesn't, can't give my husband a child. I'm the one that can't get pregnant. I'm the one with the abnormal, reproductive system. 2 wombs, not me. My middle name is Hope. I didn't understand. I knew my name was Leanna Hope. I didn't know what hope meant. I never sat down to think, what does my middle name mean? My name, Leanna. What does hope really mean? And I was like, wait, I'm still standing. I'm still here. So I said to my husband again, you know what? Time went on. I told my husband, just move on. I just need to just be released from this. And he said, I love you with or without children. So we decided, you know what? Let's just not think about having children right now. Let's just focus on our marriage, on our love, on our relationship. And I remember time went on, 8 years comes. And I'm waking up early in the morning, I'm like, I think it was July 5th or July 6th of 2012. So I wake up and I'm feeling to this on the left side of the bed. And I wake up and open my eyes and I'm like, babe. And I see the light on downstairs. I was like, baby, are you okay? He was like, yeah, I'm just downstairs. Mind you, while my husband's downstairs, I don't know this. He's reading about Hannah in the Bible, about her petitioning the Lord for a son. I don't know this at the time. So I get up. I'm like, I have to go to the restroom so bad. And I had this urge to take a pregnancy test. I'm like, why am I going to take a pregnancy test? I've had it up to here with pregnancy tests. But I had a pregnancy test handy. And it was like, take the test. It was like God told me, take the test. I was like, okay. So I take the test. I'm going to be frank. It's like candid camera. I'm trying to urinate on a test. I'm just, when I tell you like flash, it's just, I'm like, what is going on? Am I on America's Funniest Home Videos? Like, what's going on? And I finally get it on the test and I put the test down. And I'm like, Anna, don't look at the test. Let it, wait 3 minutes. I looked at the test right away and it was 2 lines. Ooh. I start screaming. I've never seen 2 lines before. It's always been no, a dash. I'm like, what is 2? I'm like, what is that? I'm screaming and screaming. My husband comes upstairs. What's wrong? I was like, I took a pregnancy test and he's looking at me like, for what? Because it's just going to be us. That's what we thought. Like, it's just supposed to be husband and wife and that's it. And he looked at the box, looked at the test. He was like, baby, that means you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're lying. He was like, no, you're pregnant. And I remember calling my mother. I'm like, mommy, get dressed. Because, I always, anyone that has a good relationship with their mother, you just have to call them. Like, I have a great relationship with my father also, but it's just that motherly, like, mommy, guess what? She got dressed. We all got dressed. And we rushed to Johns Hopkins. And they said, Mrs., I'm like, I'm high risk. I need to have an ultrasound. Now I need to confirm that I'm pregnant. And they were able to give me an ultrasound, I think the next day. I think it was the next day. And there was a heartbeat. And we were pregnant after 8 years of infertility.
Beautiful. And naturally.
Naturally. Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
So let's fast forward to your 40, well, right before.
Mm-hmm.
You had your first baby.
Yes.
And are you thinking, oh, we can do this again, no big deal? Or are you like one and done?
We thought, okay, let's wait a year again. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start to try to get pregnant again. Like, we've got it now. We had a baby naturally. Like, we're going to get pregnant like that. Mm-hmm. No, that did not happen. 1 year turned to 2, 2 year turned to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And my husband's getting older. He's 4 years older than me. Mm-hmm. So I remember he just turned 45 and I was 39. And I remember us laying in the bed. Actually, before I get there, during the pandemic, I am teleworking at home. And I remember having pain on my left side. What is this? Because I never had pain on my left. During my cycle, I would have, cramping. Mm-hmm. But like pain when I'm not during my cycle was always my right uterus. I would have sometimes pain that would just happen because of the way the right uterus and the right cervix was, for whatever reason. So I was like, something's not going right. And so I went in to see my primary care doctor. And she says, well, you probably just have some things going on. I said, well, can you just push right here? And she pushed and I jumped. She was like, okay, I'm sending you to go get an ultrasound done. Go get an ultrasound done. The young lady says, well, you have a cyst on your left ovary. And see, the 20-year-old me would have been like, oh, okay, 20-something-year-old, all right. Now I'm 39, turning 40. I was like, no, I need a second opinion. This doesn't seem right. It's no way it's just this. The way I'm feeling, the pain. And so I went to have this balloon procedure done where they put a balloon. For me, I would have to get 2. So balloon in one womb, the balloon in the other womb. And they do all the, this ultrasound and they're looking inside. And they said, well, you have a lot of polyps. And they said, your 3 fibroids have grown. And I forgot, to be honest with you, I forgot all about my fibroids. Wow. I was diagnosed in my early 20s, but I literally forgot.
Because you're not having the pain.
Right. I wasn't having any pain. Mm-hmm. But I think sitting I don't know if it's sitting because if I was teleworking, I don't know what it was, or maybe the size they grew to sitting in between my two uteruses. I don't know what started the pain. I don't know. And so when I went to this particular doctor that talked about if I wanted to have a hysterectomy, I think she was a reproductive endocrinologist or a maternal fetal medicine doctor. She was like, do you want to have a hysterectomy or do you want to have a laparoscopic robotic myomectomy? For me, I was done. Our daughter, we have our daughter. Yes. Because at that point I had dealt with pain for, well, since the age of 10, and I was 39. 29 years I had dealt with pain.
And she wanted to do a hysterectomy because you had cyst on your ovaries.
No, because I had the fibroids. She said I had a choice because of the fibroids, because it wasn't really a cyst on my ovary at that time. It was the fibroids, right? When the young lady did the ultrasound, she thought it was a cyst, what she saw, but it was actually the fibroids.
Oh, okay.
So when I went and did the balloon procedure, that's when they really could see inside my uteruses. And so they referred me to another doctor at Johns Hopkins. And she said, well, it's up to you, because I already at that point, since we hadn't gotten pregnant again, I was ready to be done with periods. So if they needed to do hysterectomy, remove both uteri, I was good, because I've been through so much and we had our miracle child. Like I was grateful. We weren't going to take for granted that we had Olivia, because we know what it's like to long for a child. We have one. How can we be like, oh, we want more, we want more? We have one. We were blessed with one. And so I was ready for hysterectomy. Like, take them out. I was like, we're good. I'm tired of pain. And I remember talking to my husband and talking to my mom 2 separate times. Talked to my husband. I said, babe, I'm ready for hysterectomy. He was like, I said, well, what do you think? He said, honestly, I think we should, try again. So what do you think about if you do the robotic laparoscopic myomectomy? And I'm just like, I really didn't want to. Not that I didn't want to have more children. It was just that I was ready to, because I didn't think that we haven't gotten pregnant all these years again. I was like, well, we're good. We have Olivia. She's a blessing to us, a sweetheart. I think we're good. And then I talked to my mom, separate occasion. And she said the same thing. Anna, I think, that's what she calls me. Anna, I think you should try the laparoscopic robotic myomectomy, but it's up to you. It's your body. That's what, it's your body. That's what I kept saying. I thought about it, prayed about it. And so I talked to the doctor and I said, let's do the laparoscopic robotic myomectomy. And they do the surgery. I remember going in for the surgery first, actually sitting in the room before you actually go into surgery. There's a whole bunch of little rooms with curtains and where all the patients are in the rooms. And the number that was above my head in the room that I was in, or the area I was in, was number 17. And at that point, we were married for 17 years. And I remember recording a video. I remember recording, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. I'm just praying for a smooth surgery, no problems. And I was like, we're in room 17, Lord. Like, this is amazing. I remember being rolled into the OR, talking to everyone. Everyone's so nice. And my doctor, Dr. Cara Simpson of Johns Hopkins, she walked in finally after everyone was set up. And I remember her grabbing my hand and I started crying. I just remember, because I was like, finally, okay, we're going to have this surgery. We're going to see what happens. But either way, I'm grateful. I'm a mom. My husband's a father. Like, I'm good. And I remember her patting me. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. And I'm gone. I'm knocked out. Wake up. She removed three fibroids. So that was February 25th of 2021. August comes and I turn 40 years old. And I'm like, yes, I'm 40 and fabulous. Yes, I'm happy. Like, I'm 40. Like, I remember wanting to kill myself. Now I'm 40.
And look how far you've come.
And look how far I've come. I don't take it for granted, because I was going to literally kill myself. Now I'm 40 years old. I've been modeling and public speaking, like so much I've been doing, active in the church. Like, I had low self-esteem for so many years. And I finally found myself like, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy to be here. My life has a purpose. And I'm 40 years old. I was so happy. And I remember my husband and I, one day after I turned 40, we're laying in the bed. And he says, babe, I'm good. You had the surgery. We have Olivia. He said, I think we're good. He said, I'm 45 now. And I'm like, I know, babe, you're 45. I'm 40. We're good. Let's not think about having children. He said, having more children. Mm-hmm. He said, because it's going to be like he's Abraham and Sarah. If you know the story of the Bible, Abraham was 100 and Sarah was 90 when they had their baby. September 19th. I think that was a Sunday, September 19th or September 21st. It was a Sunday morning. And he was like, you over the past couple of weeks, you've seemed different. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm burping for no reason. My stomach is upset. I'm sweating, I'm sweating for no reason. It was just weird. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm like, is this 40? Like, what's going on? So that morning, Sunday morning, he was like, I think you should take a pregnancy test. And I was like, no. I was adamant. I did not want to take it because I didn't want to get disappointed, And so I take the test and I set my alarm and we're just back sitting on the bed, waiting and waiting and waiting. And the alarm goes off and I go to look and it was 2 lines again. I was like, what? And the same thing happened. 8 years. 8 years. I'm like, what? 8 means new beginnings. I was having a new beginning, turning 40.
Yeah.
Loving, embracing all of me, finding my purpose, knowing that I had a voice, that my voice deserved to be heard. I'm modeling, been on billboards. It's like, wait, I found myself. And when I say that to people, like, what do you mean you found? Yes, I found myself because you can get lost on the journey. You can lose who you are, your purpose, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to live your life. And so it was like 8 years again. And we were pregnant with our second daughter. And it's just amazing. And now she's 1 year old. So we have a 10-year-old and a 1-year-old. Amazing.
So how far along were you when you found out?
When I actually was pregnant on my birthday. My birthday is August 31st.
Oh.
So I was 5 weeks when I found out. So I was pregnant 3 weeks before I turned 40 and didn't know it.
How fun.
It's just crazy and miraculous.
So how was your pregnancy?
It was good. I was, of course, still high risk, going to ultrasounds every couple of weeks, and then started to be every week, checking for my gestational diabetes, and I did not have it. Making sure that my kidney was fine, because I'm level 1 kidney disease, so I have to be careful about my kidney. I also had high blood pressure, so I had to take blood pressure medication. So I ended up having preeclampsia. My first pregnancy, I had preeclampsia also.
So both of your pregnancies were in your left uterus.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to your same OB that you used for your first pregnancy?
No, so it was a different OB, Dr. Ecke at Johns Hopkins. Because of my situation with the high blood pressure, the level 1 kidney disease, they wanted me to see a particular doctor. And it's been years since the first pregnancy, so things have changed, technology has changed, and all those things. So they wanted me to see him. Mm-hmm. And he was a great doctor and do my ultrasounds and also send me to get ultrasounds done in the radiology department, or it's still OBGYN, but in the radiology section of it. And I also had non-stress tests throughout the 3rd trimester of my pregnancy.
Okay. And how would you describe your pregnancy overall?
I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
I would say first pregnancy, I was a little fearful because after already going through what I went through,
yeah, I
was a little like, oh, wait, just kind of scared, but not scared, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to lose the pregnancy. You don't want anything to happen. All those things are in the back of your mind. And then the second pregnancy, it was just like relief. Mm-hmm. I have nothing to worry about, even though I have all these things going on with, preeclampsia or high blood pressure at the time, and the level 1 kidney disease and all those things, I was just happy. I'm like, this is just gravy, because all that we've been through, we have our first child, truly blessed by that. And now to be pregnant again, what do I have to complain about? There's no complaints, because I know, since I've been speaking and having the community with all the other couples and women that have been going through infertility, why would I even complain? Because I know what it's like to long and want and desire. Now I'm in a place that I've been blessed in this way. I have nothing to complain about. So I was just joyful and happy.
That's amazing. I love that. And did you find out the gender?
Yes. So we found out the gender at our gender reveal party.
Oh, fun.
But we also, yes, it was so exciting.
Tell us about it.
Yes. So we did a gender reveal party at our house. We invited some of our family. And what we did was we ordered cupcakes, and my husband sent the ultrasound picture to the cake place, to the bakery. And, we didn't look at it. And we told them to put the color in one of the cupcakes. And so we handed out cupcakes to everyone, including us. I didn't want to eat one. I wanted everyone else to eat it. And so, of all people, my sister bit the cupcake. My sister has 4 girls. So she bites the cupcake and it's pink. So everybody laughed because, she has 4 girls, and the fact that we're having another girl. So it was just exciting. Of course, everyone wanted us to have a boy because we already had a girl, but in our eyes, we're like, we just want the baby to be healthy.
That's right.
We don't care if it's a boy or a girl. We just want a healthy child. We're just grateful to even be in this place of being pregnant again. So it was so much fun. We did have, for me, my husband was calm about it, but I was this is the only thing I was nervous about. Because of my age, I had to get genetic testing for, trisomy 18 and trisomy 13 and Down syndrome and all those things. And I remember, I think we were in the 2nd trimester, and they did an ultrasound, and they were saying her nose is wide. Her nose is abnormally wide, so we may want to make sure that she doesn't have Down syndrome. We're like, well, we're African Americans, so we have wide noses. So, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me, because of my age. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, because when you're over 35, you're considered elderly. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, my husband's very calm. Babe, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. And remember when she was born, just seeing her and knowing that everything was fine. Everything was fine. Not to say a child with Down syndrome is not still a miracle and not still a blessing, but I did have that worry that that she had something going on. So it was just finally a relief for me, because that was the only thing that I was nervous about during the 2nd pregnancy.
Was there any products that you couldn't live without that you recommend for pregnancy?
So my pregnancy pillow, I'm going to be honest with you, I love my pregnancy pillow. I ordered it on Amazon, and I still sleep with my pregnancy pillow today. And my daughter is 1 year old. Like, it supports my back. Just with the 2nd pregnancy, I had problems with my back. I had to go to a chiropractor. So I still sleep with that pregnancy pillow. It's like, I have to have it with me. And it's really supporting my back and my legs.
Yeah. So, anything else?
For me, I do with the C-section, I still wear high-waisted underwear just to support my stomach. Because I still was dealing with some numbing and some irritation with the incision, even though it's a year later. So high-waisted one underwear is, if you're going to have a C-section, please, please, please have that. And please take whatever that's left over after you have your baby. When you're discharged, take everything. Take all the underwear. Just take it. Like, it's
you're paying
free.
For it. Yeah.
You're paying for it anyways. I know it's not free, but you're paying for it anyways. So take it, because you can still use it when you get home. Yeah. So that, and Tums pads for hemorrhoids. Please, please, please have that on hand, because it's just a lot.
And how did you prepare for birth in the baby?
Did take some classes when it deals with breastfeeding, because my first pregnancy, I never really got to breastfeed. My first daughter was born at 32 weeks and 4 days, and she had hydrocephalus and ventriculomegaly. The hydrocephalus subsided, and that's when there's fluid on the brain, but it subsided. But her ventricles are larger than the typical person. And so she was born early. She was in the NICU. And so I had to pump. And also during that time, they gave me a flu shot, the hoofing cough vaccination. I could be saying it wrong. And they gave me birth control. It was the Nexplanon, the tube they put in your arm, and it's birth control. Well, I had an allergic reaction. So while my daughter is in the NICU, I'm trying to pump. I broke out in hives all over. And I remember my husband rushing me back to labor and delivery and says, my wife has hives all over. And they didn't think it was the Nexplanon. So they sent me to dermatology a couple of days later, and I'm still dealing with these hives. I'm on fire. I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
And you just gave birth. My breasts are swollen, the whole nine. And I went to dermatology. They took a tissue sample from my arm, and she said it's the tube, the Nexplanon tube I was allergic to.
Wow.
So they had to go back to labor and delivery, have that removed. As soon as they removed it, my skin started to subside.
Yeah.
So all of that I went through, her being in the NICU for a couple of weeks. So that it was a lot going on.
So you took some classes to prepare for birth.
Yeah, for birth I didn't take, but for breastfeeding I did.
Gotcha.
Yes, for breastfeeding I did.
Okay. Also, I guess you had your baby shower and clothes and all that preparation too.
Yes, I had a wonderful baby shower because it was during the latter part of COVID almost. We just did it at my house and we did it virtually, and it was so beautiful, very emotional, very emotional, because my oldest daughter, our oldest daughter, from the age of 7 until she turned 9, she would say, I want a sibling. Are we going to have a sibling? Are you going to have another baby, mommy? Mommy, I would love a brother. I would love a sister. And we had to keep telling her, Olivia, we had to say, Olivia, I don't know. Mommy and daddy, we tried, but we don't know if we're going to have another baby. So we're saying this, over time. I would take her to school and she's sitting in the back of the car and she'll say, when I have a brother, they'll sit right next to me. We have enough room in the car. When I have a sister, she can sit with me. And we were trying to tell her, well, okay, Olivia, but you have your cousins. We'll say, you have your cousins. All your cousins can come over. She would, we would have sleepovers all the time, or she would go sleep over at their house because she longed for a sibling. She would go to school, hear kids talk about their siblings. So we would try to not show the emotion of it, but it was hard to tell her that we didn't know if we would have more kids. So she longed for a sibling. She didn't care if it was a girl or boy. She would say, I don't care. I have a brother or sister. I don't care. That was a hard time, especially after already going through infertility. And then you have your child, and your child is seeing everyone else with siblings, like how we would see everybody else with children. It was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was hard to see her long for something, and we felt like we couldn't give it to her. That was hard. So to see her, be a big sister.
What was it like telling her that you were pregnant and she was going to have a sibling?
It's the best thing. We took her to Build-A-Bear. We were like, we have a surprise for you. We took her to Build-A-Bear. She got to build this beautiful bear, and it was actually a rabbit. She put the heart in it and picked out clothes. And we said, Mommy and Daddy have something to tell you. And she's like, what? She was just happy to have the teddy bear, the rabbit. We're like, Mommy and Daddy want to tell you that Mommy has a baby in her belly. And I see the shock on her face. She's just looking at us like in shock, like, what? Like, I'll never forget. I'm just crying, but it was a joyful cry. It wasn't like, because I've cried too many tears of pain,
Yeah.
So and all the people in Build-A-Bear just clapping, just so happy, And she was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be a big sister. And so they said, you want to record a special message. I remember she went on the back of the room, on the back of the store. She recorded, she said, no matter what you are, no matter what you'll be, I will always love you. Your big sister I'll be. She recorded it on her own, thought of it on her own. And it's just like, this is what she wanted. And it's like, we gave her a gift. We received 2 gifts. We're able to give her a gift. It's priceless.
What a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
So now you're pregnant and you're 34 weeks. And do you have a scheduled C-section for this?
So because of my scar tissue and the double uterus and everything, but I've had so many surgeries. At that point, I had 4 surgeries. They didn't want me to, my uterus to contract. Mm-hmm. So that's why they had to schedule C-section. But leading up to that point, I was having Braxton Hicks, but then they started to get stronger. And I'm like calling in to, my doctor and telling them, and I have a system on my chart where I could actually send a message on my phone to my doctor. And I'm saying, I'm having contractions. Like, it feels like contractions to me, but I know this is kind of early. And they're like, well, we need to send you to labor and delivery because we couldn't take any chances because of my history and all the surgeries. So I went to labor and delivery one time, and it was a false alarm. I went to labor and delivery again, and it was a false alarm. Well, the third time I go to labor and delivery, and they say, well, we're going to give you a couple of shots to try to slow down your contractions. They gave me 2 shots, and the contractions keep coming. They keep coming. So they tell my husband, you need to rush home and get your things because we're just going to go ahead and move forward with the C-section. So that's why I had her at 34 weeks and 6 days. They really wanted me to get to 36 weeks. Mm-hmm. But my uterus is, they just started to contract. One thing I also want to say, when you have a didelphys uterus, like I said, it's 2 separate wombs, but you have both uteruses can contract. So it's 2 separate systems. So I remember my first pregnancy having an epidural, and the epidural box wasn't working. And I remember once they got the epidural box working, my left side was completely numb, but my right side wasn't. So my right uterus was still contracting, so I could feel all the contractions. Oh. So it's still, because it's 2 separate systems, but it's like they have the same mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so the second time around having the C-section, during the C-section, they had to put me on magnesium because of the preeclampsia. And so magnesium makes you feel like you're having a sunburn from the inside out. You're just so hot. So you already have, I'm on all these medications, the magnesium, contracting, all those things. So they get me on in the OR, and they're putting the epidural in, and I'm feeling like I'm going to pass out. I'm so hot. My blood pressure is sky high. So what raised my blood pressure when I was in triage, let me back up, was the anesthesiologist and the doctors were coming in. Okay, we're getting you prepped for surgery. You need you to fill out this paperwork. And they said, do you know that we may have to cut you vertically? I said, what? I said, no one ever told me that. What? So that made my blood pressure go up because I was just in shock. And I said, because of your double uteruses, your prior surgeries, you may have too much scar tissue going horizontally. So we may have to cut you up and down vertically. And I was in shock. I was panicking, like, wait, I never knew this. You're telling me now. And it wasn't their fault. They're just doing what is best for me. But I just didn't know that was my options, there was no options, that this was the way they were going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so we get in the OR, and they start prepping for surgery. They put the gown, the cover up and everything. And my husband comes in. I remember my husband coming from the left-hand side and putting his face right up against my face because I was so scared. The C-section, that was the one thing I was just so nervous about besides Anaya having, probably, they were saying going to have Down syndrome, but, thank God she did not. And so the anesthesiologist is on my right side, my husband's on my face, and it's two doctors and they're prepping, and I could feel them. They're saying, we're going to start cutting, and I could feel this part, but it's not like horrible. I could just feel them pinching to make sure I'm numb. And so they begin cutting, and I start feeling like tugging, and then I'm feeling so much pressure that I could feel it up in my lungs. And I can remember them saying, I could hear them saying, there's so much scar tissue, we're going to have to cut up. So vertically, they didn't have to cut me vertically outside, but I still don't know if they cut vertically inside because I could feel it all the way like up here, so much pressure. And they're like, yeah, see this scar tissue, see this lesion here, this scar tissue. Okay, wait, we're going to have to cut. And I could just hear all of that. And anesthesiologist looking over the curtain and saying, Mrs. Douglas, it's okay. Because I'm like, that feeling, that pressure, I don't ever want to feel again. Yeah. I can't explain it. It's not painful, but it's not comfortable at all. And he keeps, it's okay. It's okay. Because he knows I'm like, whatever he's seeing, he can see it on my face, what I'm feeling.
You're kind of panicking.
So I'm panicking. So he can tell. He's like, it's okay. It's okay. And my husband he will not leave my face. He's talking to me. He's praying in my ear. Like he's like right there. And I remember them coming. She's out. And her coming from around the curtain and seeing her face. It was like everything else went away.
Yeah.
Like everything else, it doesn't matter. I don't care who's here. All we could see was her face and that little cry. It's a memory I will never forget. Like, never.
So how was your recovery afterwards?
Oh, it was almost like when I had the laparoscopic robotic myomectomy, that because of all the things that were cut and, with the layers that they go through, even though it was a laparoscopic surgery, it was still, I couldn't stand up right, straight right away. Also with the C-section, being cut, all the gases that I guess they put inside or the air, I would have pain running down my arm because the gas in the air was stuck here. Yeah. They would give me chewing gum. I'm like, why are they giving me chewing gum? Every time I would chew the chewing gum, that gas would subside. It would come out. It was just weird. Yeah. And I would not pressure myself, but encourage myself, Lana, come on. The nurses would tell me also, but I would say, let's get up and walk. We'll walk with my husband up and down the hallway, just to get myself moving. He would give me my shower initially. And then I started, while he's standing there, showering myself as much as I can. So it was just, I felt in a good place, even though just had the C-section, but I felt in a good place. Like, it's okay. Keep moving. You can do this. You've gone through so much. You're going to get through this also. So the whole process postpartumly was really good. We had a great team. Everyone from the doctors down to the housekeepers, those that brought food, everyone was just wonderful at Johns Hopkins. Everyone. So we were really grateful.
Did you have to stay longer because they cut you vertically?
Yes. So I stayed for 5 days, especially since they wanted to make sure Anaya was fine. So they kept her in the nursery, but she wasn't hooked to any tubes or anything like that. And they said, if you want to stay, I think after the 3rd day, they said, if you want to stay for 2 more days, that's fine. We can still monitor your blood pressure. My blood pressure was still kind of on the high side, but with the medications and the IV and things like that, it was, lowering. And then I was able to stay while she was in the nursery. And then on the 5th day, we were discharged.
What was it like leaving with your second daughter?
So happy. Just still like, it almost felt like a dream. And it's still, to this day, I still look at her and I'm like, I can't believe you're here. It's it's just unimaginable with the story and the journey we've been on. Like that we not alone have one but two children. It's just so leaving the hospital, we were just happy. We were grateful. We gave the nurses and doctors baskets of food and little treats just to say thank you. You're a part of our journey. Like, we were just so grateful and happy.
That's great. And how were you able to breastfeed this time?
Yes. So with assisted, it's called what do you call it? It's a plastic cover that you put over your nipple. And then I was able to breastfeed that way because my nipples are flat. So I needed just a little something that would help my nipple to pop out. And I was able to breastfeed for a month and a half.
Oh, that's great.
And pump.
Was your supply just not able to keep up?
So we got to a point, a month and a half, it was kind of getting painful for me. I think with the nipple cover and the stress of, okay, I'm trying to breastfeed, and she would latch, but the milk wasn't coming down as much as it was in the beginning. So with much, thought and talking to my husband, he was like, look, it's going to be fine. We'll just get formula. It's okay. And I had some milk supply that was frozen. So we decided to, I decided to stop breastfeeding with the plastic cover. She was totally fine. She's still totally fine with formula. So, yeah.
And mentally, how were you afterwards during postpartum?
So I had some moments of postpartum depression. I did. I was feeling like I was by myself. I was having those same feelings of when I was going through infertility, if that makes sense, the first time around. And I was feeling like I'm the only one going through this. I'm just me and the baby, and it's all about me and the baby, and that's it. And I was feeling not unloved, but kind of like no one cares about me. That's how I was feeling. Postpartum depression is something that's a little, I don't know how to explain it. You're doubting yourself or thinking that no one loves you and everyone's here, everyone's around you. My husband's parents flew in and my parents are there, and family are coming by and checking on us, and I was still feeling, oh my gosh, look, no one cares. It's a weird feeling, and I think for me it's still, and I say this all the time now, even though I'm a mom of two, when you go through infertility or reproductive health issues, that doesn't just shut off. It doesn't just go away. Those painful days and negative pregnancy tests and surgeries and IVF treatments, it doesn't just like, okay, well, I'm a mom now, that's it. No, it still kind of stays with you. And it's not that you're dwelling on those situations, but it's been a part of your life. Like some of the decisions and things that you went through kind of created, who I am now. It helped. It's part of that, the strength that I have now, the decisions I make now, being a go-getter, being someone that's like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. Because the old me would have said, well, I guess I'm not going to ever be a mother. Well, I guess I'm not woman enough. Now I'm like, no, I'm worthy. I am a woman. I am strong. If I had children, if I was married or not, if I had this job, if I lived in this house, if I drove this, it doesn't matter. I'm still enough as I am. So I hope I'm explaining that correctly, or that it's understood what I'm trying to say. It just stays with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything that helped you through that?
Definitely much prayer for me. Prayer, talking about it. For years, I suffered in silence and didn't really talk about it. I felt like no one understood what I was going through. And talking about it really helps. Reaching out to others. The second time going through secondary infertility, there were so many advocacy groups. There were so many women that were talking about their stories while going through infertility, while going through infertility treatments and fertility treatments. The first time I didn't know anybody like any advocacy groups. I didn't know anyone at that time. So when I would see other people pregnant, I felt like, how can I talk to you about what I'm going through? Because you're a mom now, you're pregnant, you have children. So I didn't know that I could still reach out to someone.
Yeah.
But now, the second time around, it was so many advocates. There was so many platforms that I could reach out to, so many support groups that I could reach out to, my family, my sister, my cousins, and even my husband, talking to my husband about how I was feeling, him talking to me about how he was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We always hear the woman's perspective, but what about what the men are going through?
Mm-hmm.
How they may feel, how they have to be strong for us. We have to hear his side of the story also.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have any plans to have more kids in your 40s?
No, we are done. I feel like after all that we've gone through, we have our 2 children at the age I am now, and just all that we've endured. I'm good. He's good. We are good. Anaya, our second daughter, Anaya Grace, was a surprise. She was our surprise baby. So, I mean, Olivia was surprised too, but we literally just thought we're not having any more children. We're just going to have one.
Yeah.
So we are good. We have our 2. Our family is complete. We have our dog, Dallas, our son. We call him our son. And we're good. We're happy.
What has been your biggest challenge being pregnant in your 40s?
My body, as in especially my back and my legs. After actually during my pregnancy, having back pain, knee pain, and then my ankles. Now, after having her, it's like my back pain comes and goes, the knee pain comes and goes. My ankles sometimes give out. Like I used to be able to move a little bit faster. Now I'm moving a little bit slower. Like it's a big difference between the first pregnancy and the second pregnancy. My body is like, slow down. Yeah, slow down.
Is there anything you'd recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth in their 40s?
I would say to maybe reach out to a mental health specialist, a psychiatrist, just have that person be a part of your journey, and also seek out a chiropractor during your pregnancy. I'm seeing a chiropractor now after having the baby, but it doesn't hurt to talk to a chiropractor or a physical therapist about joints, about your back pain, things like that, because I just didn't think that I would have issues with my back after having, our second child in my 40s. I just didn't think that would be a problem, but it's getting better. The chiropractor is doing great work, cracking my back and heat therapy and cool therapy and things like that. So it has made a difference. And that's like I said earlier, I'm still sleeping with my pregnancy pillow, and it helps a lot. So
that's great. What advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
To love yourself just as you are. To never let pregnancy be your only goal in life, because you are enough as you are. There's so much greatness in you. You are beautiful just as you are. You're so smart and strong. Don't lose hope. Don't give up on yourself. That's what I would tell myself if I could go back.
Beautiful. And where can our listeners find you on the internet?
Yes, I'm on Instagram at Hope Still Stands, HOPESTILSTANDS, Hope Still Stands. And I'm on Facebook at Hope Still Stands, LLC.
I love it. Leanna, you have a crazy, beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Wasn't Leanna's story incredible? I'm so amazed. And it just makes me feel like, man, maybe I do have a chance after a story like that. Amazing story. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week. and I will see you next Monday.